Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is a fun game. Is it a narrative marvel with gameplay mechanics that reinvents the metaphorical wheel? No, not by a long shot. But what The Sands of Time does do is create an intricate platformer game unique in such a way that was never really seen before back in 2003. Okay, 3D platformer games existed before The Sands of Time dropped. Conker's Bad Fur Day, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, Mario 64, Zelda. I could go on. I really could. Super Mario Sunshine, Rayman 2 The Great Escape, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonian. Ow! Okay, I'll stop. For now. Look, I get it. This type of game had been done time and time again between the 90s and early 2000s. So what makes Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time special? Well, that's exactly what this video is here for. To explain why this game did, and frankly still does, stand out as a rare diamond amongst its platforming contemporaries. From the intricacies of parkour that would go on to massively influence the Assassin's Creed series, or the game's painfully, agonizingly great puzzles, all the way to Prince's frequent humorous and sometimes sus inner monologue. So sit back as I, the exile, documents the 3D platformer known as Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Massive giveaway, free stuff, yeah! Bro, the neighbors must be f***ing terrified, Jesus Christ. By the way, I'm reading this part off a script, so you might see my eyes going like, Okay, so in this video I'm going to be giving you a $20 gift card on a gaming platform of your choosing. Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, you name it. No joke, no catch, it's yours. A gift from me to you. But you must face a challenge. A series of riddles, if you will. Hidden throughout this video are clues to finding your prize. Watch intensely. Don't blink. Don't breathe! Okay, you can breathe. But don't look away as you may just miss a clue. It's in here somewhere, so good luck. Okay, back on with the video. We'll be discussing levels, gameplay mechanics, narrative, and we'll also pay a tribute to the artists that made this game possible. But first, let's go all the way back to the beginning. The Sands of Time is an evolution of the 1989 2D platformer, suitably named Prince of Persia. This game was created by Jordan Mechner. Now, Jordan would go on to contribute to the development of Ubisoft's Sands of Time in a multitude of ways. He worked on narrative and script writing, and acted as a consultant to the dev team. After all, it's Jordan that created this fictional world. So when Ubisoft decided to make The Sands of Time, they intended to do so with the utmost respect for the source material. The goal was to take an old-timey 2D platformer and evolve it, without misplacing the inherent energy and charm that made the original so beloved and revolutionary. This meant keeping the core gameplay elements of the original, such as platform climbing, combat, and puzzles, all still very much the main focus. Taking the simple climbing and jumping of the 1989 original, and transforming it into intricate parkour, involving wall running, wall jumping, pole vaulting, swinging. Look, I could go on. The point is, Ubisoft Montreal really did a good job at taking a concept and innovating it to its full potential. And while we're on the topic of the Sands of Time's parkour system, going back and playing this now classic, I was shocked to see just how influential this game's climbing and parkour was to Ubisoft's subsequent franchise, Assassin's Creed. Comparing Sands of Time and AC1, you can clearly see and feel the same core gameplay elements between the two. Sure, they're in two completely different game contexts, and Assassin's Creed 1 is much slower paced than Prince of Persia, but it's clearly built off of the same game mechanic. For a clear example, Sands of Time has back ejecting, as does AC1, though the latter game would expand upon this concept by allowing side ejecting and cancelable actions for an even more precise movement system. As someone who knows Assassin's Creed inside and out, it felt insightful and refreshing to visit the first projects that built the foundations of arguably the most revolutionary parkour system in all of gaming. Assassin's Creed 1 to Revelations, that is. Assassin's Creed would dumb down the parkour system with each release post-2011, resulting in a temperamental climbing mechanic that, compared to older AC games, and yes, even the Sands of Time, feels like something a 3-year-old mocked up in a day. If the Sands of Time is like a sick-ass Power Ranger, I don't know, like the black and gold one or something, then the AC Odyssey climbing is a fucking homunculus in a jar. When it comes to innovation, the same goes for combat. OG Prince of Persia's combat was really quite simple sword fighting. Now, Sands of Time also has simple sword combat on the surface, and I mean, yeah, there's not too much to the mechanic, but it feels deeper in the way that it keeps you on your toes and makes you think. You can't spam attack, you'll die. You'll end up using a combination of flip dodging, jumping over your enemies for an attack, and using the Dagger of Time to absorb their life essence, which I'll explain shortly. Although enemies don't take many hits to bring down, Prince equally can't take a lot. Now put that together with the swarms of enemies that often spawn in all directions, and you really can't miss a beat. Combat takes precision and can be quite frustrating, but after some practice, pulling off a chain of attacks to wipe out a wave of bad guys feels badass. As the game goes on, you get better and Prince gets stronger, resulting in a real sense of progression as well as immersion. Now I mentioned the Dagger of Time, and it's quite literally the core focus of the entire game. Allow me to explain. The Sands of Time begins with a battle to take over a city of no name. In the movie adaptation of The Sands of Time, this is changed to be the city of Alamut. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I actually made a critique of the Prince of Persia movie, and you can watch it right now. It's out now to members of my YouTube channel. You can join now for $5 a month, which supports me and allows me the opportunity to make those extra videos that I may not have otherwise done. Now, any large video projects such as this one and the Prince of Persia movie critique will drop 1 week early to all members. As well as that, you get a cool badge next to your name in the comments, and you'll be showcased here on my channel. Okay, plug over, love ya. During the ransack and capture of the city, a young prince, son of the Persian army's king, takes it upon himself to find a reward of high esteem in order to prove himself to his father. What Prince finds is the Dagger of Time. After the battle is won, Prince presents the dagger to the king. Knowing the power in which the dagger holds, the king's visor persuades Prince to insert the dagger into the Sands of Time, unleashing a blight upon the kingdom. This either kills or turns everyone into a possessed demon. Now, the visor seems inherently magical in of himself, so I assume the reason why he doesn't turn demonic is due to a spell or something. It isn't really explained. Hang on a minute, quick editor's note. The visor holds a magical staff of time, which is why the sands don't affect him. I didn't realise this because he kinda just has it, but there you go. The reason for practically destroying the land and its people is a selfish one. You see, the visor is dying, but he understands that the Sands of Time can grant him eternal life, so long as the sands are activated. So, as you can probably imagine, he becomes the game's antagonist. Prince isn't affected by the sands either, as he wields the dagger. The dagger grants Prince access to the flow of time. If he activates the dagger at any time, things will flow backwards, or he can slow down time. As I alluded to earlier, this becomes a major factor of gameplay. If you miss a ledge and possess enough sands to turn back time, you can go back and try again. If an enemy cuts you down, travel back a few moments before it happens to dodge out the way. To kill an enemy, you must stab them with the Dagger of Time. You absorb their essence and the dagger fills up a little. The more sands you have, the more you can use them to reverse time or slow it. So the sands have been let loose on the kingdom, and everyone's turned into a zombie demon thing. Apart from a woman named Farah. She's a princess of the captured kingdom. Farah is protected from the sands by the medallion she wears. And I bet you can guess what it's called. Yeah, that's right, the Medallion of Time. Farah and Prince team up to reach the Sands of Time. If the dagger is reinserted, time can be reversed to before the sands were released and everyone lives. Well, I mean, apart from the visor. And that's what the game's about. You travel across the city in the hopes of reaching the sands at the top of the kingdom's tower. This is a very simple story, but for the simplicity of the gameplay loop, it works. Not every game has to be thought-provoking. Sure, I love the games that do. But I love all types of games and the stories that come with them, and that's no different with the Prince of Persia. During the story, Farah and Prince have a good back and forth banter. They usually insult one another, but there's always this sense of underlying flirtation. Eventually, this turns into a kind of romance. Again, it's simple, but I think it humanizes the couple in a way that nicely juxtaposes the dreary world around them. My favourite aspect of Prince is his amusing and often inappropriate inner monologue. Sometimes he'll have to go off alone, and when he does, you'll get dialogue like this.
With women, you need to show them you're in charge right from the start, or they'll walk all over you. I've been too indulgent. Probably because I felt sorry for her. Well, it stops now. From now on, she'll have to toe the line. That is, assuming I can find her.
There are times in the story where they escape just like that, without any real thought, trial, or tribulation. Here's an example.
Ow!
Sorry.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Hold my hand. Don't let go. When I was small, my mother taught me a secret word. She said that when I was afraid, all I had to do was speak that word, and a magic door would open. I've never told that to anybody.
I can see why. It's the most childish thing I've ever heard of. What was the word?
Kakolukiam.
Kakolukia. You did that.
I mean, look. This scene is done to grow the bond between Farah and Prince. Farah is in a vulnerable state, and so is Prince, and they attempt to comfort each other. There's a really nice sense of intimacy in this scene. So I get that that's what the game was trying to go for, which in turn led them to a happy coincidence kind of escape. But hey, this is probably my favourite scene in the entire game, so I'm not complaining. I think the darkness of the scene amplifies the dialogue between Farah and Prince. It makes us listen, makes us as the player feel part of it. Again, it feels intimate, and I really like that. Puzzles are brilliant. On the surface, they're complicated and intricate, and sometimes you'll feel disheartened just looking at them. But with some critical thinking and a bit of patience, you'll do just fine. It's quite a gratifying sensation to pinpoint the crux of each puzzle and work through it up to the point when you finally complete it. They're not too easy, but they're not too hard either. I like to describe the Sands of Time as having Goldilocks puzzles. They're just right. Apart from one! One of the game's final puzzles has you running through corridors in the correct order. Otherwise, it's an endless loop of being transported to the same room over and over. It's a great idea because it ties back into the theme of time. But its execution just fumbles. It really does. To this day, I still don't know for the life of me any logical way of figuring out the order. I'm ashamed to say that I always have to watch a guide on the last puzzle. It's weird because it just isn't in keeping with the other puzzles in the game. I mean, I'm probably missing something. Every other puzzle though is perfect to me. So, Prince of Persia Sands of Time is over 20 years old. It's pretty much a retro game at this point. The Sands of Time has had multiple successors since 2003. With The Warrior Within and then The Two Thrones capping it off, it became a trilogy. Ubisoft have attempted to revive the series time and time again. 2008's reboot, simply branded Prince of Persia, was a more stylized graphics approach, probably to try and stand out against Assassin's Creed, which was breaking records at the time. Then in 2010, Ubisoft tried again with The Forgotten Sands, now experimenting with a more realistic look. This was likely to try and profit from the Prince of Persia movie that released the same year. Become a member today and watch my video on it. And in the 2020s, Ubisoft hit success by bringing the Prince of Persia series back to its side-scrolling roots. But you know what? After everything, after all the many iterations of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time is my favourite. It's simple yet focused, has good writing, doesn't overstay its welcome, and it just hits this charm that I think works so well. Is Prince of Persia Sands of Time a masterpiece? In some aspects, yeah. The game is a mechanical marvel. Is Sands of Time a masterpiece in every way? No. Unskippable checkpoint cutscenes are annoying, the camera freaks out if Prince goes off screen, which can lead to failing a jump where you otherwise wouldn't have, and level design could definitely have been more varied. The game has jank, but I like that jank. It wouldn't fly in a AAA game today, but I think I can give a pass to an old classic. What Sands of Time did for the game industry goes much further than its few glaring issues. And before I leave you today, I want to show you something really quite special. When starting a new game, press A, X, Y, B, Y, A, X, B on Xbox or the PS2 and PC equivalent. By doing this, the player is transported to a secret level. This is a recreation of the first level from the original 1989 game. The player can turn left to play, or they can turn right. By turning right, the player will be met with a secret room. This room contains multiple beer bottles branded POP. I'm sure you get the abbreviation. Perhaps a nod to a popular drink amongst the dev team. Amongst all the beer though, is really quite a touching image on a wall. It's likely a photograph of the developer team that made the Sands of Time. You can see the now nostalgic fashion of the time and the quirky hairstyles of some. But above all that, they look happy. What a lovely snapshot into the past. If you're passionate about anything in life, no matter what, go for it. Do it. Do what you can in this life to be happy. You may have a long time in this reality, or a short one. Who knows? But what is known is the fact that as of this moment in your life, you are here. So make the most of that. Do what feels right. What is right for you. Create art. Passion is a form of art whether you realise it or not. If you're passionate about the most mundane thing, well, it's still art. It's your art. Find your art. And be happy. Well, there you have it. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Another game I can mark off my list.